Alright, since it's been a while since Jade did release on all servers, I'm making a video of my first and last impressions combined because I didn't get to do my first impressions because I was sick, had other things to do at the time. So it's been a little while for me to sort of have a first impression. While I do already have how I feel about her, I think I'm pretty set on how I feel about Jade. So this time I'm doing a combined one where I'm talking about my first impressions first, then I'll be talking about my final impressions. Yeah, that's all I gotta say before I get to the video. Drop a like, drop a sub, hit the bell icon for more videos like this. Let's get straight into it. So starting off with the first impressions, I was super excited for Jade, mainly because she was a 10 stone heart, and if you guys don't know, I'm a big 10 stone heart fan. Have been one since the story was trying to lean into them more, and you guys know me with Aventurine. So her being a 10 stone heart was already a big plus for me. And then finally getting around to her kit, I thought her kit looked fantastic, and it looked super fun. Then it sort of became a problem of while things were going, a lot of people were saying how her kit isn't actually as good as was originally expected, mainly because of the fact of her being restricted to only AoE characters and not having the greatest output elsewhere. So I was a bit afraid of that. I still thought she was fine. I thought that hate was a little too much. I thought she was a little too overhated for the kit. I'm not going to be talking about the character stuff, like leave that out of this. It's just about her as a character in usage wise. But I thought her kit was getting a little too much hate. Like, sure, pure fiction, we already have our established units, but what's another one gonna hurt? Especially with how good she is in it. And seeing the case of, like, okay, she's restricted to AoE characters, okay, that's a fair argument. You don't need her, but you don't need a lot of other characters that people still go for. So, I don't know, I just thought the whole hate was a little too much. But I didn't speak up on it too much because I didn't know what her, like, actual damage output overall would be. And so I just decided to wait. And so finally getting to actually use her, I instantly E1'd mine because I was sort of into it right there. So I had to use someone else's E0 to test how it goes at E0. And I will say, the restriction to mainly AoE units is kinda cringe. But who knows, in a game where AoE is prevalent anyways, besides Apocalyptic Shadow, but even there it's still usable, she can just get better with time, so that could just end up not being an issue later. But for now, it was sort of cringe just having to use her with those AoE characters to get her to actually do the follow-up attack. But I thought her damage was completely fine. The fact that you just have to rack it up a little bit, like, sure, but even without it being fully stacked, she does a lot of damage. Her non-enhanced one doing maybe 50, 100k sometimes. It's like a big gap between. But it does enough to be satisfied for a non-enhanced version, and then the enhanced version can go from 200k all the way up to 400k, and I'm like, this is really solid damage, and I don't know why people are complaining for it. And then also the utility she brings is really nice. The extra 30 speed, really good. The additional quantum damage dealt is really good. Her also being insanely easy to set up with the action advance on her kit, and just not needing to have speed because the other unit is the main reason she's sort of getting built up to attack. I thought it was all playing well together, even at E0, so I was like, okay, even at E0, I think her kit is a little overhated. Then I used her at E1, which was mine, and yeah, the issues I had, practically non-existent. Pair her with Topaz, she gets follow-up so often. Pair her with AoE characters, she gets it a little faster too. Single target's no longer an issue, especially if you do something like her with your single target and you maybe have someone like Sparkle or Bronia, so they can give the buff or the action forward or 100% action forward to the person with the deck collector, and you can also rack up more stacks like that. They don't even have to be a follow-up attack unit. There's just so many possibilities open with E1, and that makes her a lot more viable outside of just something like Pure Fiction. Which at E0 I still think she is well valuable outside of Pure Fiction. I think she still works fine. Obviously not as good as other characters we are getting, since she also is in this very awkward time slot where we have gotten Firefly. Next we're getting some other characters that like Yunli with the counter unit. We're getting Xiaoshu, which Lamau. But like other characters like Fei Xiao, how we think or heard that she might be super broken and the other characters might be really super good for other characters. So she's sort of in this awkward time slot. But back to her actual kit. At E1, I practically, the only complaint I have, or I guess I didn't have it originally. Yeah, so pretty much first impression for E1 is just, she was fine, like completely fine. I thought like, some people were saying that even at E1 she's like pretty mid, and I'm like, what? I'm like, how is this mid? This damage is fine, it's really easy to use her. The utility provided is great. And then again, with the E1 helping her with more team options by letting her be viable with single targets has been really good as well. Especially with Topaz, with the Numby attack, it's just so easy to stack up on a follow-up team, goes crazy. I haven't even used Doctor Ratio since I got Jade because she's just kind of replaced the slot anyways. But yeah, so those are sort of how the first impressions went. Now moving on to more of the final impressions of how it's been a minute. At E0, I'm gonna say it, what I thought is still the same. I still think, yeah, she is kind of restricted to AoEs at E0, but I definitely think she might be a unit that gets more value as time goes on. But I definitely would say she is not a unit you really should go out for. But to be fair, there isn't really many units that you should skip everything for. Like, if you like Jade, get her. Don't let the people dooming about her influence your decision too much. Because I will say, even at E0, her damage is fine. Pair her with an AoE unit, you can get enough follow-up attacks. Definitely will not say she's as good as some other characters we are getting or have gotten. But she is, I think, definitely overhated, even at E0. Since once again, easy to set up, provides utility with the speed, additional quantum damage, and then when you're pairing her with an AoE character, it becomes really easy to give her charges. The damage itself is actually really nice. And so at E0, definitely think she is on the weaker side of characters we have been getting or are getting, but she's definitely overhated in my opinion. And then moving on to E1, where my opinion Jade is pretty big, because now I think she's really, really good. And so I think everyone saying that she was like kind of mid outside of Pure Fiction even at E1 is just wrong, because her output is just really good. The damage very good because the fall damage increased, the increased fall damage by 32% is really good. And then also enabling her to be used with single target characters very easily, and also being able to be better with AoE characters because she does gain an additional charge from that. I've been taking her into Apocalyptic Shadow, Memory of Chaos, Pure Fiction, and all of it she's performing fine. And so I definitely do think her hate is definitely a little too much, because honestly just been using her and she just, the damage, how easy it is to get the follow-up attacks, how easy it is to set her up, the additional utilities she provides, the team options at E1, just everything is just fine to me. So overall, I'm definitely thinking at E1 there isn't really much to complain about. But the only thing I really have to complain about is getting her ultimate, because the unenhanced follow-up attack only hits like what, twice or something, and the energy you get back isn't that much, and she has a 140 requirement, which is pretty steep. And since she herself is not attacking that much, she just uses a skill and then attacks every now and then, it's kind of hard to get charges for her ult after you do get it, or I should say energy for the ult. And so having enhanced follow-up uptime is a sort of an issue, because the difference between unenhanced and enhanced is actually very, very, very big. You go from 100k all the way up to 300k, those types of differences. And so I think the ultimate, just having the uptime is just a bit of an issue. But that's honestly really the only complaint I have about her. Otherwise, she's completely fine. As I mentioned, her damage, really, really good in my opinion. The utility provides, really good, easy to set up. At E1 has great options. You just practically use it on any team you want, minus a few specific ones like Break or Acheron. And so overall, she just performs really, really well in my opinion. So for the final impressions, very, very satisfied. I think she's great. I think a lot of her kit hate is sort of a little too much. Because once again, I can get why people don't like her kit, but I honestly think the people hating on it are doing a little too much by calling her like one of the worst units we've gotten. That's just not it. I would not agree. And then who knows, future there'll be more AoE characters. There might be one that works really well with her. There might be just a bunch of more AoE characters that end up being really good with her, so her value might increase. But that's for the future. We're just going to wait and see if she does get better with time. I think she'll get better with time, but obviously I can't predict the future. But yeah, final impressions, very, very, very satisfied. Anyway, that has been the video. Let me know what you guys think if you guys did summon for Jade, because for the most part, a lot of people I know that did summon for her have the same view as me. They think she's overhated and performs really well. So I'm definitely curious to see what other people might think. So if you did summon for Jade to get to use her, let me know what you guys think. And yep, that's all I gotta say. Peace out.